Just when Nigerians are on the verge of heaving a sigh of relief over the kidnappings, bombings, and killings in the northern part of the country, a threat to the peace, unity, and development since forgotten tries to resurface. Blowing up of oil facilities in the Niger Delta region ended in 2009 after the late ex-president Musa Yar'Adua's amnesty program, which made agitated militants lay down their arms and embrace peace in a deal geared to developing the region and human capacity of those willing. After so many years, the silence in the Niger Delta creeks is broken. Some oil and gas pipelines in the creeks of Baramatu and Uborodo areas of Warri, and those in Igbema, North local government areas in Delta State, South Nigeria, are blown up, leaving inhabitants of the communities in renewed fear. The Joint Task Force describes the attack as an economic sabotage. The JTF commander of Operation Polo Shield in the Niger Delta, Major General Alani Okola, says the task force is closing in on those blowing up oil pipelines belonging to the Nigerian Gas Company, Chevron Nigeria Limited, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC). While inspecting the site of the pipeline explosion, Major General Okola hands down a stern warning to community leaders, stating that they will be held responsible for any attack on the country's oil and gas facilities in their domains. The pipeline vandals had a field day. There were no men of the JTF on ground in the areas as at the time of the attack. Perhaps guards have been let down as the areas have enjoyed some moments of peace. Just before the new administration took over leadership, the security of some pipelines were in the hands of some ethnic groups, and one of the top Niger Delta agitators, Governmental, was a beneficiary. That deal has been terminated by the federal government. Governmental, popularly known as Tompolo, has also been ordered by a federal high court in Lagos to unconditionally appear to answer a 40-count charge of alleged 13 billion naira fraud leveled against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He has shunned that order. Though the reason for the recent destruction is still unclear and no one has claimed responsibility for the attacks, in a swift reaction, the military deploys troops to man the bombed site with a vow to apprehend those behind the dastardly act.
That goes beyond just mere vandalism, for the purpose of making gains. But this is absolute sabotage, something that can even be termed terrorism, Because if the guys were doing that to derive benefits from the destruction, then one would say that it's vandalism. But what we have there is complete sabotage.
As part of our proactive measures against piracy and militant activities, 3 Battalion has engaged actively in intelligence gathering against such criminal elements.
To boost our earnings from oil, which is what this summit is all about, we should construct creative and enduring strategies that will enable strategic alliances among host communities in oil-producing areas the international oil companies, the IOCs, and security agencies in securing oil and gas investments in Delta State. It is our conviction as a government that citizens, communities, oil and gas companies, law enforcement personnel, as well as non-governmental organizations all have important roles to play in protecting our oil and gas installations for optimum delivery. I must also stress the need for appropriate sanctions to be meted out to oil thieves when they are caught. We need to deal decisively with these economic saboteurs. They need to be fished out and the full weight of the law brought to bear on them to deter others.
The Minister of Defense and his entourage arrived at the Osubi Airport, Warri, Delta State, for an on-the-spot assessment of the destroyed oil facilities.
This is an IED explosion, and I believe it was well arranged and well planned. You can see the magnitude of the explosion. So I believe this has to be taken care of by members of our armed forces against next time, because we need to intensify patrols. No, we can say we are still looking for them, and the JTF commander told me that they are on it and they must come out with whoever did this criminality.
I was with the Secretary General of the United Niger Delta Energy Development Security Strategy, Mr. Tony Uranta. He says he's not surprised at the attacks, but ruled out insinuations that ex-agitators have returned to the creeks. After the amnesty program was birthed in 2009 by the late former President Musa Yar'Adua, the mindset was that absolute peace has finally returned to the Niger Delta region. But with the recent attacks, that states otherwise.
I don't believe anybody that was involved in the amnesty process, like ex-men generals and so on, is involved in this process. I do not put it beyond anybody to, for whatever reasons, be involved in criminality for his venal, political, partisan reasons. But we must remember that we had warned that there might be a resurfacing of tensions in the Niger Delta region if the Bayelsa elections were not properly managed. We warned the national security agencies, we warned the presidency, the executive directly. I talked to ministers and the NSA directly, and we warned that the possibility of candidates of either party is bringing in criminal-minded armed miscreants and their participation in this process would not be healthy for Nigeria, and that it could possibly birth a new surge of instability in the region. To be honest, I personally never foresaw what is ongoing now, but I am not shocked by it in the least. The Niger Delta's issue is this: government has to start engaging the right people in the Niger Delta. The people who know the history of the struggle, the people who were involved in the creation of the amnesty process, the people who were involved in bringing about peace. But if government makes the mistake of focusing its attention on only politicians who are misleading government into believing that they are in control of the Niger Delta, we will end up having the problem of resurgence of agitation in that region if not now, in the future. Because most of our politicians have shown that they do not have the interests of the nation at heart. They do not have the interests of the common people at heart. They do not have peace in their objectives. They do not want, in fact, there to be stability, because they seem to thrive on instability.
For peace to return to the Niger Delta region, the Constitution backed that program, which also gave point to the fact that the region was going to develop. However, there are cries here and there that the region is yet to achieve that development, that percentage of development that was supposed to be achieved in the amnesty program.
People misunderstand what the president really conceptualized. If the dreams, the vision of President Yaradua had been actualized by even the last president, the Niger Delta would be a bit of an El Dorado today. But it seems with the death of Yaradua, his vision was truncated. The amnesty program was not solely about amnesty. Amnesty was granted. Demobilization happened. So arms were recovered from armed militants and so on. Then engagement, education took place. So we have people going all over studying and so on, training. But then the environment was not remediated. In fact, people are wondering today why we all celebrated, for example, when President Buhari announced that the Ogoni area was going to be remediated along UNEP recommendations. Up till date, not a dime has been released. So we have a lot of talk by Nigerian governments without action. What we need to remember is that a lot of Nigerians at the federal level seem to have done is believe that the Niger Delta Ministry and the Amnesty Office would be solely responsible for developing the Niger Delta. No. The Niger Delta is a part of Nigeria, so the Ministry of Works has to carry on development in the Niger Delta. The Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Transport, the Ministry of Water Resources. If all of them are doing the same kind of development that they are supposed to be doing nationwide in the Niger Delta, and then these special interventionist processes like the Amnesty Office, like the NDDC, are now allowed to perform at optimum. For example, the NDDC is being owed well over 1.6 trillion naira by the federal government. The federal government has not been paying its quota of its statutorily demanded monies to be paid for funding of development in the Niger Delta. It behoves every Nigerian, especially every Nigerian in the South, to clamor for the nation to live up to, for the governments at the federal, state, and local levels to live up to their responsibilities. But really, a major problem has not even been with the federal government, it's been with the state governments. None of the state governments of the Niger Delta have lived up fully to their expectations. And so we are still all just struggling in the dark and swimming in a morass going nowhere.
Mr. Oranta suggests that the federal government put on hold its plan to end the amnesty program, but should allow it for another 4 years to accommodate ex-agitators who are yet to benefit from it after laying down their arms.
At the moment, I know there are still about 5,000 awaiting training. Now, if government wants to be serious, those ones awaiting training have to be trained. Those ones already in schools have to graduate. You cannot arbitrarily terminate their scholarships. Right now, there were a lot until recently of our students abroad that were living on the streets because they had been sent out of schools and hostels and so on. Good thing, to date, they have been paid, their schools have been paid. However, the third part of it is when you finish all of this, the most vital angle is reintegration. You have to reintegrate them into society. And for example, I know that the present administration of the Amnesty Office plans to, and the government at the villa level has bought into it, plans to train in entrepreneurship and give startup funds for people to become wealth creators, job creators as entrepreneurs in different fields within the next 1 or 2 years.